The Phantom Animatronics are regarded to some as the least important characters to the Five Nights at Freddy's series, even being largely left out from the famous thank you image on scottgames.com that eventually teased FNAF World, where funnily enough, they were later all added in as their adventure variants, and Phantom Mangle got Mike Wazowski'd by Nightmare Own. The Phantoms in Five Nights at Freddy's 3 are, at a base value, just additional gameplay elements that make it easier for Springtrap to sneak into the player's office. And let's not forget how annoying some of these guys are to deal with on harder difficulties. Today, I want to hopefully provide some additional information, craft a couple theories, and come to a conclusion about the significance of the Phantom Animatronics in Five Nights at Freddy's 3. The Phantom Animatronics consist of Phantom Freddy, Phantom Chica, Phantom Foxy, Phantom Balloon Boy, Phantom Puppet, and Phantom Mangle. Some of these characters were actually first officially revealed in the teaser images on scottgames.com, leading up to the third installment. Specifically starting with Phantom Balloon Boy on March 1st of 2015, where we first got a good look at the Phantom's designs for this game. I remember some people actually believing this to be JJ, due to her general mystery in Five Nights at Freddy's 2 at the time, and also the strange coloration of BB in this teaser, with the 10 in the image being speculated to be a countdown to Five Nights at Freddy's 3's release date. Then, the very next day, we see a new teaser featuring the likes of Chica and Foxy in this new design. One missing detail from this teaser was the number associated with it. With the Balloon Boy one being a 10, most people expected this countdown to result in a 9 for at least this teaser. Scott also later wrote in a Steam discussion post about how it was originally intended to be a countdown to the final release date to FNAF 3. But later that day, the actual game was released. I guess Scott was ahead of schedule, as he was with literally every game in the original series. The Phantoms in Five Nights at Freddy's 3 all share the same models as their previous iterations from Five Nights at Freddy's 2, with one exception, but I'll get into that later. The Phantom Animatronics have this burnt or damaged appearance, with greenish hues that match the vibe of Fazbear's Fright, sometimes even being referred to as watermelons. I assume the purpose of their dark color tones was to make these characters blend in with the subtle backgrounds of the attraction. All of the Phantom Animatronics also have black eyes, with glowing white pupils inside a silver cloudy iris. And if you had any doubts about the burn details present on the Phantom Animatronics, it's made abundantly clear when looking into the official FNAF character encyclopedia, where literally every time a Phantom Animatronic is mentioned, it's explained that there was some sort of fire damage done. Each of the Phantom Animatronics in Five Nights at Freddy's 3 are utilized with subtle-ish visual cues that could spare the player from a potential jump scare. Yup, that's right. Unlike every game in the series at this point, which was just the first two games, the jump scares from the Phantom Animatronics don't end your run. Instead, they can potentially give you a ventilation or audio error, depending on the animatronic, that you have to fix on your maintenance panel. Ventilation errors trigger an alarm with a red light in the office, causing the player's screen to fade in and out as if your character is going to physically pass out. Phantom Balloon Boy is, most likely, the first Phantom Animatronic that the player will actually see, appearing on the second night of the game. He can appear at any of the camera positions, and lingering on his close-up will result in a jump scare. It's important to quickly switch to another camera or completely close your cameras to avoid this. His actual model is identical to his look in the previous game, propeller hat and all. He's just missing his balloon sign and his actual balloon. Other than that, the green grime and burn looking texture that's applying to all of the Phantoms is apparent on him as well. One cool detail about Phantom BB is just how far his jaw stretches out when performing his jump scare. Phantom Freddy appears in the hallway window in the player's office. Occasionally, Freddy will limp from the right side of the window to the left side. The easiest way to avoid him is to just cover your direct line of sight by either looking at a camera or your maintenance panel, as either will continue Freddy's cardio routine. Like I explained in a previous video, an interesting aspect of Phantom Freddy is his resemblance to the likes of Golden Freddy or Shadow Freddy from Five Nights at Freddy's 2, rather than his own withered counterpart in that same game. The model shares the wires coming from the eyes and shoulders and missing ear, just like we see Golden Freddy's model appearing in Five Nights at Freddy's 2. Many fans also believe that Phantom Freddy is actually Golden Freddy, due to the fact that he's named Golden Freddy in the files of many of the actions associated with him in the source code, though resembling models, and when brightened gives off a yellow shine. Another interesting aspect of this character is with the mystery behind his missing appendage. Or not. Seen only in official merchandise and his limping and ducking animation, Phantom Freddy is shown to be missing the lower section of his right leg. Every other time we see him in the main series, his render is just cut off at the section where his missing leg would be seen like an Ultimate Custom Night. However, here in FNAF World, Phantom Freddy has both of his legs. Even in this cutout from the corn maze level in FNAF Help Wanted, we can see Phantom Freddy's legs again. Phantom Foxy is the second Phantom animatronic to actually appear in your office, just after Phantom Freddy. Simply looking at the left side of your office will prompt a quick jump scare from him. Phantom Foxy's design resembles the Five Nights at Freddy's 2 designs we'd seen from the previous Phantoms, with one missing detail: his hook. This is because his hook and right forearm are located inside the box in the Five Nights at Freddy's 3 office. Interestingly enough, the box is what Foxy stands on to jump scare the player. Unlike his previous iterations, his eye patch does not flip up anymore, and it is permanently covering his eye. I just wanted to add that it's also possible to avoid Phantom Foxy's jump scare by avoiding looking to the left and opening the monitor, which will quickly get rid of him. Phantom Mangle is only seen in Camo 4, where she hangs from the ceiling emitting her usual radiostatic sounds. There's no way to avoid this when he's spotted, and when the cameras are lowered, the player will be greeted by him in the office. Phantom Mangle looks much like Mangle did in the second game, but with the usual green color tone and burnt appearance shared with all of the other Phantoms. Some strange facts about Phantom Mangle is their lack of appearance in the extras menu, and the fact that she's the only Phantom to not tamper with the ventilation system, only causing an audio error instead. Phantom Puppet also appears as a camera-operated Phantom. Randomly shown in Camo 8, the puppet from FNAF 2 can sometimes appear, looking squeaky clean. If the player doesn't quickly switch to another camera or eventually close the monitor, the Phantom version of this puppet will appear in your office. Instead of a normal jump scare, the puppet will block and closely stare into the player's soul, both causing a ventilation error and restricting your access to the maintenance panel and camera system. While this is going on, which is approximately 17 whole seconds, we can hear a loud audio warning similar to that of Phantom Mangle. This makes the Phantom Puppet one of the most dangerous Phantoms to deal with in Five Nights at Freddy's 3, as they give lots of freeway for Springtrap to make a quick entrance. Phantom Chica will randomly appear in Camo 7 at the center arcade machine in a black and white close-up shot of Chica. After not closing the monitor or switching cameras quickly, like Phantom Puppet or BB, she will suddenly appear in the left side of the office, jump scaring the player. Phantom Chica is noticeably different from the rest of the Phantoms due to her model using her Five Nights at Freddy's 1 design, unlike every other Phantom animatronic we see in Five Nights at Freddy's 3. Very strange indeed. And I just wanted to mention that while there is an Easter egg appearance of, most likely, Shadow Freddy, due to this character giving off a purple hue when brightened, and Shadow Freddy's importance to FNAF 3 as a whole, this suit, expectantly, doesn't appear as an official Phantom in the extras menu, and doesn't attack the player, only appearing as a quick Easter egg. And also in the Freddy files, this suit is referred to officially as a crumpled Freddy suit. So now that we have all the details, we can answer a few questions, shed some light, and try to put some pieces together regarding the Phantom animatronics. Of course, the most common explanation for the existence of the Phantoms is that they are hallucinations caused by the ventilation problems that Phone Dude talks about on the first night.
The most important thing you want to watch for is the ventilation. Look, this place will give you the spooks, man, and if you let that ventilation go offline, then you'll start seeing some crazy stuff, man. Keep that air flowing.
Some more evidence to this is with one of the Five Nights at Freddy's 3 teasers bluntly saying that it's all in your mind, with a picture of Phantom Foxy and Phantom Chica to go along with it. You could also say that the charred/burnt appearances of the Phantoms foreshadow the events of Night 6's ending, where Fazbear Fright is said to have burnt down. Another solution to their burnt appearances is with Phone Dude's fear of the place catching fire in Night 1's phone call.
Like the attraction opens in like a week, so we have to make sure everything works and nothing catches on fire. In trying to make the place feel vintage, we may have overdone it a bit. Some of this equipment is barely functional. Yeah, I wasn't joking about the fire. That's a real risk.
It's important to remember that this is before both the Phantoms start to manifest, and Springtrap is brought to the location. And while I believe this to be true, for the most part, I do think there are some things that need to be put to question. Specifically, why the Phantom Animatronics are so obviously closely tied to Springtrap, and why phantoms cause physical ventilation and audio errors. One detail about Five Nights at Freddy's 3 that I find very interesting is that the phantoms do not appear until Springtrap is brought to the location on night 2. Even if the phantoms appeared on night 1, there would still be no threat in the building for players to face. It would probably gear them up to what they're about to face in the following nights. To me, this seems intentional by Scott, wanting to link both the Phantoms and Springtrap to each other. Another thing that troubles the theory of the Phantoms being caused by ventilation errors is that Phantoms can appear in-game without there being any actual ventilation errors. And how would general hallucinations be able to affect the physical building in such a drastic way? So if they're not just hallucinations, then what are the Phantom Animatronics? Well, personally, I think the Phantoms could be hallucinations that are brought about by the presence of Springtrap himself. And to add to this, I also believe that the player that's being haunted by these hallucinations is none other than Michael Afton. In the short story, What We Found, contained in Fazbear Fright's 8th book, Gumdrop Angel, we see the events of a new security guard working the night shift at Fazbear Frights. To give you a very short summary, Hudson is our protagonist that's continuously haunted by his past, with induced trauma from his stepdad Lewis, consistently ignored by his mother, and picked on by bullies and even his teachers at school. At the end of his senior year, Hudson's family's house burns down, ending the lives of both his stepdad and his mother, many believing that it was caused by Hudson himself. Fazbear's Fright, detailed in the book, stays fairly consistent to what we see in Five Nights at Freddy's 3, location-wise, even with a familiar animatronic arriving a day or two into Hudson's shift, that being Springtrap. Throughout the story, Hudson is continuously teased by Springtrap, animatronic parts around the building, and his past trauma. Many details throughout leave the reader to believe that a lot of what's actually happening is the result of hallucinations or imaginary events haunting Hudson, with Springtrap and different animatronics taking the voices from people that Hudson knows and clues hidden around the story that allude to Springtrap never even moving around in the first place. The story concludes with Hudson being horrifically burned alive inside an oven as he was hiding inside. I think this story, in my opinion, single-handedly proves that Michael Afton is the character we play as in the game's version of Five Nights at Freddy's 3, as the character of Hudson seems to be a direct parallel to that of Michael Afton. Think about it. Both of these characters share past trauma experienced when they were kids, and have hallucinations specifically based on the characters featured in Fazbear establishments. Michael would see these characters in the form of their models from Five Nights at Freddy's 1 and 2 because he had previously worked there, if we believe that Mike Schmidt and Fritz Smith are fake names used by Michael. I go a little more in depth with this in my video regarding Michael Afton's presence as the playable character in each Five Nights at Freddy's game. I mean, I'd personally go watch if you haven't, but I might be a little biased. But to summarize, I think that Michael would want to work there to finally get rid of his father for good, attempting to end his life by burning the location down at the end of the game. We also see Hudson in the story both connecting Springtrap to his father when Springtrap communicates with him with the voice of his stepfather Lewis, and burning alive in an oven at the end of the book. Michael Afton goes through these same courses as Springtrap is literally his own father, and in Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria Simulator, he burns alive in practically an oven in the completion ending. Just like in What We Found, the hallucinations that Hudson experiences don't come into effect until after Springtrap shows up at the attraction. With things in the story like Chica physically grabbing Hudson while he's crawling in the air vents, and Foxy's hook attacking him, it's implied that these, while still being hallucinations, are having an effect on Hudson's mind. Springtrap is using the Phantom Animatronics to whittle down the mentality of people getting in his way, and in turn creating fears for the security guard in Fazbear's Frights. This would be Hudson in the story, and Michael Afton in Five Nights at Freddy's 3. However, there are also a few things that kind of hurt this theory. More importantly, relating to Scraptrap and his presence in Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria Simulator. If Springtrap is the main source of the Phantoms, why is he suddenly not able to make these apparitions appear in the new Freddy Fazbear's Pizza Place? I've seen people say that the Phantoms are actually tied to both William and the past props that have been left over at the original Fazbear's Fright horror attraction. Remember, this location is filled with different decorations, props, and even animatronic parts that surround the past of the company. Maybe the forms of the Phantoms can easily take place in props present around the building. This could be why Phantom Foxy is so close to his hook in the office, why Freddy is next to his old costume, Chica being projected onto an arcade machine, where Susie had last met her end to William in the Fruity Maze minigame, Balloon Boy and Mangle being close to their empty mask shells in the office as well, and why the puppet is close by to their mask. But this is just me throwing out some ideas, because I'll be honest, I love Five Nights at Freddy's 3. It's probably my favorite game in the series, and adding more tidbits of information to it makes me love it even more. Anyway, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, because this has definitely taken a lot of work trying to gather all the information and correlate it in a digestible manner. Maybe you even thought about potentially dropping a like or subscribing, because it would really help me out. And I'd like to see what you guys think the Phantom Animatronics really are. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Take care.